Every morning, the countdown begins for the markets with meticulous research and analysis designed to help you capitalize on the trading day. Beaming live from the CNBC TV 18 Motilal Oswal studio.
Good morning. You're with us here on a fresh new edition of Bazaar Morning Call. Thursday morning, chugging along into the end of the week. The big update, of course, is no update in terms of overnight action from India, Pakistan. I mean, I think we closed into a market. We closed markets yesterday. That was a big talking point. Whether we're going to wake up like we did yesterday to some sort of escalation. There is no escalation from Pakistan. That firing continues across the LOC. So I think for now, I think it's something which is holding on, and we'll need to watch that closely. We're coming to you from the CNBC TV 18 Motilal Oswal studios. I'm Prashant, with me my colleague Surabhi and Nigel. Guys, hi, morning.
Hi, morning. Yeah, a bit of a tense night, but thankfully, as of now, I mean, not too much has happened. Though, of course, there's that firing that's going on. Wait and watch mode. A lot of other cues as well. I mean, we've got the Fed. We have plenty of other cues to look at as well.
Well, that's right. An eye on the border. But as you said, we have the Fed to look at. And Trump is hinting at one of the first deals to be announced later today. So let's see how that goes. So we've got our plate full. Let's get straight to the action.
Absolutely. Let's take it from the top then. As I said, the big story, of course, is that there is no escalation from the Pakistani side overnight. When I say escalation, I mean, some attempt at a counter-strike, etc. Cross-border shelling, of course, continues, and very, very unfortunate, the loss of lives in areas like Poonch and some other areas as well. But, in terms of big escalation, there is none, at least as of now. Now, we had the Fed decision last night, and I think that took a complete backseat because it was basically nothing new at all. I mean, I think we'll spend 30 seconds on it. The mantra was wait, see, and watch. Powell essentially said we don't think we need to be in a hurry. We think we can be patient. So he's kind of ruled out any preemptive cuts in terms of responding to a slowing economy, etc. He said, well, sentiment is bad, but hard data is still not bad. So we'll need to see that sort of start to come through. What did markets do to Fed pricing for the June meeting of FOMC? There's a slight reduction in what the Fed is pricing. I mean, so now it's 5 basis point cut compared to 8 basis points. I'm just putting that out just to sort of tell you how little the change really was. And of course, I mean, there were no rate changes at all. Now, equities held on steady last night. S&P was up 0.4. Nasdaq was up about 0.25%. Dollar index about 99.9. Oil continues to come off. Oil prices are now $60.90, almost $61. So we had a bit of a bump last 2 days in oil. And we are down back about 2% last night. Now, Trump has essentially teased out a major trade deal with what he called a big, highly respected country. That is later today, I mean, U.S. morning. The New York Times and other publications are saying, well, the deal could be with the U.K., so U.S.-UK. And I think we'll need to see if this is the one. More than, what this deal would mean for global markets. I mean, markets, of course, if we get details, if this is a framework deal, this is the actual deal, most likely it's a kind of a framework deal and things that they've agreed to do. And then the negotiations will go on. But it'll be seen for what is the U.S. willing to do and give in as a sort of, to use it as a sort of a template for what may come next with countries around the world. Last night, President Trump said he's unwilling to lower tariffs to get China to the table. Some in the market have been saying that U.S. will cut rates from 145% on China to something like 50-60% to get China to the table, and then they'll start talking. I mean, Trump actually pushed back to that idea. U.S. envoy has reportedly been sent to China, so watch for headlines there. And of course, over the weekend, U.S. and China are meeting in Switzerland to take these trade talks forward. I mean, this is, of course, just FYI, we reported this yesterday. EU, by the way, today is going to make public a list of about $100 billion worth of U.S. products that it could hit with tariffs if negotiations don't go well. So keep an eye out on that as well. Now, just to circle back and tie in the levels, yesterday was a good session. Broader markets did very well, although the Nifty and the Nifty Bank did not go anywhere. But this looked like a market which wants to go higher. Now, we need to, for that to happen, we need to clear a few levels. 24,589 is the first level the Nifty needs to clear. On the downside, the low of 24,198 is an important level to watch out for. Nifty Bank, the immediate resistance is the 40 hourly exponential average, which is 54,747. The resistance then after that comes in at the high, 55,692. On the way down is the 20-day moving average, which is 53,695, which is going to be the first support. And then there is the 40-day exponential as well. GIFT Nifty gives you a quick sense of how we're likely to start. It's neither here nor there once again, at least on the Nifty's 30 points down. Surabhi.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, markets have been fairly range-bound across Asia this morning as well. Not too much to react from that Fed meeting. So it's mild gains in some of the regional markets like Hong Kong, like China. So small gains coming in over there. 0.1%, 0.2%. Those are the kind of indications we're picking up. The Hang Seng is doing relatively better. It's up about 0.6% right now. It's a wait-and-watch game to see if those Swiss talks, Switzerland talks between between US and China, whether they yield any result or not. So it's a bit of a waiting game that's going on. US futures, by the way, had turned positive. Last I checked, they were up. Some of them were up as much as 0.5%. So the US market, and even now, yes, they are up and about. They're chugging along. Gold prices are a little higher once again this morning, 0.7% higher. So that's the overall backdrop. Quickly coming to, of course, the situation here at home, and this is the latest. This is what we know as of now. Of course, there is Operation Abhyas that continues to play out throughout the country, which is the mock safety drills, etc. And the the government has been reporting there are a lot of civilian volunteers who want to participate as the first line of defense workers here. So that's good news. The heavy shelling that's been taking place along the international border and the LOC, that, according to our sources, has claimed 15 civilian lives already. And that's the update as of last evening. So we'll wait for more updates today. 43 people injured. And of course, yesterday we had that statement coming in from Mr. Doval. He says there is no intent, on India's part, there is no intent to escalate tensions, but we're ready to retaliate resolutely if Pakistan decides to escalate. So India is on high alert on land, on the seas, and of course in the air as well. All of this, by the way, did not deter FPIs. They were still coming into the market, which is good. I mean, they are not too unfazed by what's going on, at least for the time being. 2,600 crores of FPI buying came in, about 2,370 odd crores of domestic institutional buying. That was also supporting the market, which is why we had a fairly good session yesterday. In fact, mid-caps did so well. The mid-cap index ended about 1.5% higher, close to the day's high. So there was buying at lower levels that was seen, and we'll watch out to see if more of this continues. Today, my sense is that it will be earnings that start driving the action again till we get more geopolitical updates. So we have Coal India's numbers to go over. First glance, they look better than expected. Dabur is as weak as what we always imagined. The volume growth is down about 3%. Margins have declined about 150 basis points. UB is a good set of numbers. Watch out for this. The margin expansion is about 0.5% more than what our poll was indicating. Then we have a lot of these AC and cooler companies, the summer guys. Voltas, Blue Star, Symphony. We'll watch out for all of their numbers. Most look okay. Blue Star's AC business, as they call it, the unitary cooling products business, that growth is a little lower than estimated. Symphony is lower. So let's see how these numbers do. But Nigel, I guess my sense is today we'll get back to talking individual stocks and earnings.
Well, that's right. Actually, it was a resilient performance coming in from the Nifty yesterday. But I think in the near term, maybe there could be a case for some consolidation to continue. Remember, today is the weekly expiry as well. So you have volatility that will pick up, particularly in the second half of trade. Now, the biggest positive for me yesterday was that we started with only around 180, 190 stocks that were advancing in trade. But by the time we wound up, we had 1,600 stocks. So just look at that. The way the green line moved, that told you that the markets, in fact, are willing to look ahead. And that's why you had some deployment of money in yesterday's trading session. The VIX, that's the one that needs to cool off. In the last 1 week or so, the Nifty has been more or less flattish. But the India VIX actually has popped up. And that's telling you that, the way the VIX has moved up, just in the last week or so, it's up by close to around 8% or thereabouts. In the last 1 month, it's still lower. But in the last week, it's actually moved up. That's telling you that fear index or, that uncertainty still prevails in the market. There is still fear out there. You'll want to see the VIX actually cool off a little bit from around this 19-odd mark. That's going to be the key trigger for me to watch cooling off of the VIX, which it did yesterday and today, but towards the end, it did pull back. Well, what did the FIs do in yesterday's trading session? They covered close to around 4,000 shots in trade yesterday. Now the long short positions are at even Stevens at around 50% apiece. And for the first time since October 4th, the FIs actually are mildly net long by a few hundred contracts, but they moved from aggressive net short positions to net long. You like some shorts in the system actually, but for the time being, the FI flows in the cash market is doing the job for the bulls. What did they do in the on stock futures? Well, they covered shorts. 20,000 contracts were covered on the short side. You had some long addition as well. So net longs added on stock futures in yesterday's trading session. On index options, you had higher number of puts that were written than calls, and that's telling you that the bulls want to defend lower levels. Which brings us to what are the clients doing as well? Well, the clients in yesterday's trading session, after adding some shorts in the last few trading sessions, well, we did see that the client net short positions did come down by close to around 10,000 contracts. So there was some short covering that we saw from the client end itself. And for the markets on the whole, there was some short covering that we saw. The Nifty Bank recovered considerably from the low point of the day. And the open interest on both those two, futures contracts were actually lower, both the Nifty as well as the Nifty Bank. Moving to the options data, two strikes were active. The 24,400 call fairly active in trade. The 24,300 put fairly active. Remember, these strikes expire today. Which brings us to the levels. Just looking at the options data, looking at the positioning of the market participants. Well, the levels that I'm looking at, yesterday's low. Yesterday's low should get defended both on the Nifty Bank as well as on the Nifty. And for the Nifty, actually, the options data as well suggests this 24,200 odd mark is the crucial level you're looking at. On the upside, though, the 24,550 mark, that it appears to be the level that we'll see some resistance coming in there. The bulls will like to conquer this mark to get us to a fresh leg up. The stock that I'm tracking is going to be Symphony because those numbers actually look very, very good. Keep in mind, in the last 1 month or so, the stock has seen a bit of a rally. Though from the highs, it's still more than 30% off the highs. And those numbers look very, very good. 20% beat on the revenue. It came down to the EBITDA number as well, the higher top line beat. So that's a stock I'll track because over the last few days, stocks that have done well actually, they have seen good amount of buying. So I'll keep an eye out on Symphony for trade today.
Absolutely. Those numbers looked quite phenomenal. Absolutely, Nigel, on the radar.